the whole point of investing in AI is to be more efficient with your development workflows. And it's one of those things where you're going to spend $200K on a salary for an engineer, but you're going to complain about giving them $600 in AI spending? What are we doing?
So what differences do you see in the companies that adopt new technologies in the big tech and then in the startup?
I tell people all the time, the best way to not ship bugs is to not ship. But we are in the business of shipping. And so inevitably it's going to happen.
When they add AI tools and they want to speed up things or automate these kind of things, they never see the real results. So what should leaders actually do differently if they actually want AI to improve the engineering act?
You cannot throw tools at people and expect something to change. Right?
Will AI actually take over the jobs, or is AI going to be someone that's going to assist you and improve you in the engineering side?
The idea of a software engineer who is going to put on their noise canceling headphones, sit at a desk, and just type for 7 or 8 hours a day is gone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tech Finds Tech. Today, we are honored to have Emilie Schario, who is the co-founder of KiloCode. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's doing wonders in the industry. So we have Emilie with us today. Thank you, Emilie, for having time and joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Perfect. Emilie, so before we dive into the questions, if you could just quickly introduce yourself for the audience, a bit about your background and how you basically started KiloCode.
Yes. So Emilie Schario, based out of Columbus, Georgia, which is a little ways outside of Atlanta. I've spent most of my career in B2B SaaS, especially dev tools. So I've worked at a couple of different places, but I spent a couple years working at GitLab when they were kind of a fast-growing startup. I joined right after the Series C, and then was there for a couple of years through the beginning of COVID, left, went to Netlify, spent some time at Netlify, started my own company called Turbine. We were building ERP software for e-commerce companies or multi-channel commerce companies. We were acquired in 2024 by Settle. And so I spent some time at Settle as part of the acquisition as a product manager. And then when I started to think about what was coming next for me, I was already, I guess you could say, agentic engineering pilled. I had been really pushing for this at Settle, pushing for all of our engineers to work this way. I was seeing how it was fundamentally transforming my own workflows. And the opportunity to jump in at KiloCode came up. The team here was spectacular. And I jumped in with 2 feet and a whole heart.
So, Emily, you often say companies don't have an AI cost problem, they have an engineering throughput problem. What does that mean in practice?
Yeah. I talk to a lot of engineering leaders who they are so worried about their AI spending. They're like, oh, we're only going to give Maria $50 a day in AI spend or $50 a month, like $1.50 a day, right? They're so worried about the dollars going out the door that they forget that the whole point of investing in AI is to be more efficient with your development workflows. And it's one of those things where you're going to spend $200K on a salary for an engineer, but you're going to complain about giving them $600 in AI spending? What are we doing? So I understand why it happens. We're so used to thinking of subscription software as something that's a cost to the business. You pay for it. Very rarely do we think about it in terms of ROI, right? How do we take that spend and bring it back into, are we making our engineers more efficient? Not just our engineers, are we making our whole organization more efficient, right? Does everyone have access to the AI tools they need that are going to allow them to be more productive or have more throughput? And if you re-anchor the conversation from that perspective, then people become more willing to look at their AI spend as an investment where you're putting in $1 with the belief that it will put out 3, 5, 10. If you're willing to recognize that people have to learn how to use these tools. You have to learn how to prompt well. You have to learn what context management is. You have to put in the work. And as long as you're willing to put in the work, you will see that ROI long term.
Got it.
Yeah, and just
So I
I
will
think yeah, adding on to that, sorry, Salimi. So I think many companies are basically, even us, are adding like AI tools for developers just to make things quicker and everything. But still, we see that there's like a barrier for developers. Even then, the shipping of code is still not very quick, right? So
Hmm.
where do more AI adoption efforts break inside the engineering teams? I think you can answer that better.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're talking about AI adoption like it's this one particular thing, right? But what we see with our users and conversations in data is that there's actually a lot of different paths through which teams are adopting AI. So some teams, and I think this is probably the most popular path, it's what most people are going to think about when they think about developers using AI, is code generation. You're sitting in an IDE or a CLI like experience, and you've got a prompt box and you're prompting and it's writing code in files on your behalf. That's what most people think of, and that's probably how most developers get started with AI. But that is not the only way that people get started with AI. There is a step even before that that people sometimes forget, but like really good autocomplete. That's like the first baby step towards AI is just like, let's just lean into really good autocomplete. And I bring that up. Something I talk about with candidates all the time is they'll ask me, like, why are you still building autocomplete? And it's because the stat that's out there is that 49% of developers still don't use AI in their work every day. And so if we can start to win people over with really good autocomplete, that's how people will edge their way into that code generation next step. But that being said, there are other places too that people come into AI
Yeah.
coding tools from. Maybe they start with a code review tool. So at Kilo, you can get started with Kilo Code Reviewer. You install the GitHub app or the GitLab app, and it will run on every PR on the repos that you've given it permission to run on.
Yeah.
And so a great way to start, even if you're handwriting your code, which sounds so old fashioned nowadays, but you put up that PR and the code reviewer is going to give you feedback. And that can be an aha moment for folks like, oh, wow, look at all this stuff that this code reviewer caught before this went to a human code review. And maybe we've just cut back a review cycle. And that's another place you can see efficiency. And so you're right that it's not like you can throw AI to an org and expect them to just suddenly be more efficient. There's a learning curve and an adoption curve for all of these tools. But if you're willing to put in the work to help the org come up to speed on what that learning curve and what they need to move up that adoption curve, you will see that ROI.
So, Emily, at KiloCode, you are building tools to help developers move faster. What problems in developer workflows are still very broken today?
We operate in a really different model. And I'd like to say I have a crystal ball with all the answers here. I don't. Um, but it doesn't take a crystal ball to know that the way software development has been done is in the middle of changing, right? We are going through a fundamental industry transformation, and the traditional model of like product manager with a bunch of engineers and engineers have data people, like all of these are collapsing. And our model that we've implemented at Kilo is what we call the Wowzer model, WAUZER, where WAU is weekly active users. So we think of every engineer at Kilo as a mini CEO for their product area, and they're
Mhm.
responsible for driving those weekly active users. So I think about Yevgeny as an example. Yevgeny is a phenomenal engineer. He's been at Kilo since October, so he is responsible for driving the weekly active users of Cloud Agent. So every week, whatever the number was, he's got to increase that by the target percentage. Um, and he's working to define the product roadmap. He's working to set what he's going to prioritize. When feedback or bug reports come in, he's synthesizing those. All of these things that used to be like 5 people's jobs before, he's working with a marketer to decide what content they're going to publish, what promotions need to be executed on. These things that like used to be many jobs are collapsing into one. Why is this possible? It's not like he's a superhuman. It's not like we're asking him to work 90 hours a week. He's now got a team of AI agents that are working on his behalf all the time. And
Mm.
so he can delegate tasks to those agents, and he's able to accomplish so much more than he would have even just a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I think our model, this like e- engineers are not, for a long time, it's like there were a lot of ideas, so product managers had to do it was a little bit of a funnel to ship things, right? A lot of ideas, product managers had to do some diligence and kind of customer discovery to understand what features were going to move the needle, and then you would design those features, and then, you got to the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel was like engineer shipped, coded and shipped feature. Well, now, like, it's so much easier to code and ship features, and so it's not a funnel anymore. It's more of a tube, and we can ship on a lot more ideas, and, that doesn't mean we can throw taste away. It's not like we're gonna ship every idea that comes to the window. We still have to think about taste and product experience and better making sure we're solving users' problems from a product strategic direction, but I do think we're gonna see engineers taking on tasks that traditionally, air quotes, doing a lot of work there, belong to other parts of the organization.
Perfect. So Emily, we were actually, I think a month ago, I was talking with a CTO in the UK, and they were actually asking for adding AI tools in the company to increase the efficiency of the engineers, right? But
Mhm.
a lot of them, when they add AI tools and they want to, speed up things or automate these kind of things, they never see the real results. So, what should leaders actually do differently if they actually want AI to improve the engineering act?
You cannot throw tools at people and expect something to change,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Buying a kilo code license and giving people AI credits, if they don't know how to use it, if they are overwhelmed by where to start, does not matter.
Mhm.
You need to make sure, I think about it from a product perspective. When I create an account on some SaaS app somewhere, if
Yeah.
I log in at the end of that account creation process, if I'm on a dashboard that's got a bunch of empty numbers on it because I've never used it before, and I don't know what to do next, I'm going to log off and never come back, right? And for leaders giving their team, engineers or not, engineers, marketers, salespeople, across the board, we cannot give people AI licenses and expect them to use a technology that they've possibly never leveraged at work before and be effective with it. I think the burden is on the CIOs, the CTOs, the AI leaders, the engineering leaders. It's on the organization. Like, if you want to see ROI from your AI investment, you have to put in the work to teach people how to leverage AI. And it comes from there's not like one thing you do. The reality is that AI is moving so fast. It can feel like a full-time job just keeping up. But giving people the basics, context management, uh understanding what token usage is, like these little things can make such a big difference. And we've got an incredible resource like learn.kilo.ai, which is a great place. There's free resource there to great place to get started. If you're just looking to dip your toe in, um, where you can come in, kind of get a sense of what are the things that I need to know. And with that
Yeah.
enough like baseline knowledge, then you can actually start experimenting with the tools.
Okay, so Emily, I will ask two questions, but I will connect together. So the first question is Kilo code being used to develop the new feature of the Kilo code? And the second question attached to it is like, obviously you have worked across the different big tech companies like Netlify and GitLab. Then you joined the startup. So what differences do you see in like the companies that adopt new technologies in the big tech and then in the startup?
So we do use Kilo to ship Kilo, which often means, some people call this dog fooding, some people call it drinking your own champagne. I call it finding all the bugs before your customers do. Um,
Okay.
I tell people all the time, the best way to not ship bugs is to not ship. But we
Mm.
are in the business of shipping. And so inevitably it's going to happen. The
Yeah.
best thing we can do is get it out there, catch those mistakes ourselves and fix it. Um, and so with that, we use Kilo day in and day out. Every engineer, we're using it in the CLI, we're using it in JetBrains, we're using it in VS Code, we're using it in the cloud. I like to think of myself as a power user of KiloBot for Slack. One of my favorite workflows is, you wake up in the morning fresh and bushy-eyed. Uh, you, I pull up Kilo for Slack and I will just give Kilo my list of like, here's the things that I want to tackle today. And I use that. I kick off a cloud agent. So by the time I'm sitting down at my desk, I'm not just getting started. I'm reviewing PRs that have already been reviewed by code reviewer. Um, or now I've been using my own Kilo Claw bot more and more. Its name is Chad, and so I'll talk about it as Chad. But thinking about like how having Chad gives me as an individual so much more personal leverage. And we do that for all of our team members. Everyone has access to a Kilo Claw bot that they can use in their personal lives and experiment with. And I see that as like a future for most companies. If you could give every one of your team members a personal assistant, why wouldn't you? Right? So
Mm.
I think that's definitely the future of where it's going. To your second question about like what do small companies or big companies operate differently, I'll share transparently that um, I am a startup person in my core. I
Mm.
like I was at GitLab. I remember we had just hit like 1,200 people and I was trying to get this task done. I won't go into too many details, but I just remember being like, this is too bureaucratic for me. I hate it. I need a new job now. Uh, and anyone who's listening doesn't see the panic on my face, but like just talking about this brings that feeling back a little bit. Reality is that like I'm just like a forgive my language, like a get shit done person.
Mhm.
When I see a problem, I want to roll up my sleeves and tackle it. And I'm not good at considering like titles or responsibilities or roles or what other people might like. So I am not the person who thrives in like this big company environment. In fact, a fun anecdote about me, when I was going through my MBA program, we had to do this class on like change management in large organizations. And there was this simulation where like you're combining two banks and you have to decide like whose tech gets kept and whose doesn't. You have to manage the feelings of the two IT managers. Um, and, like, the IT manager you had to win over, like, I remember I I did really poorly on the assignment because my response was like, "Get with the show or I'm gonna fire you." And my boss was like, "No," or my professor was like, "No, no, no, that's not the task, like, you have to win him over." And I'm like, "That's not how things work. Like, I don't have the time for that. This is a life or like, really creating urgency." Um it was just a class, like, it's not life or death, and I like to remind people, like, we're not brain surgeons, it's not life or death, but Um, I am ask me how startups work, ask me how I've coached people through selling into the enterprise for sure. I've had a couple of enterprise wins myself, but operating in them is not my jam.
Uh, all right. So, Emily, looking back at your journey, I think from, just like you described, from data roles to like now leading product engineering, especially at KiloCode, what lessons helped you build and lead a stronger technical team, especially now at KiloCode? So, what are the things, for example, um, for people that are new in the business or are just starting new, startups or something like that? What lessons do you want to give them so that they don't do the same mistake?
People like working with people. Like,
Mm,
I cannot emphasize that enough, but, like, people like working with people. They care about other people. And at the end of the day, like, the bots can write code just as good as you can. And so,
mm,
the value of technical skills, it's not that they've gone away. Engineers are not going away. I'm certainly not there. But being able to mentor, coach, give feedback, like all of these skills are suddenly much more valuable than they were before. So be human, be a good person to work with, like show people that you're willing to go the extra mile and people will be willing to go the extra mile for you. Like people like working with people, so be a person.
amazing. Before Salimi, you dive into the rapid fire round, I just have one question, Emily. So, usually everyone is asking this question everywhere. Even our team members ask this question to us as well. That will the engineering be over in the next 5 years? Will AI take over our jobs? What's going to
Mhm.
happen? So, what do you think, being in the industry, what do you think, what exactly will happen in the next 3 4 years? Will AI actually take over the jobs, or is AI is going to be someone that's going to assist you and improve you in the engineering side?
I am not an economist, and I certainly am not looking at systematic data to draw conclusions on what's happening to industry. But
Yeah.
what I can say is that the role of a software engineer is already changing. Today, we can see this. The idea
Hmm.
of a software engineer who is going to put on their noise canceling headphones, sit at a desk, and just type for 7 or 8 hours a day is gone. You are not whittling away at handwritten code. That job, if it still exists in some places, it will not exist very soon. Um, and so using AI, leveraging code generation tools like Kilo are going to be considered table stakes for anyone who calls themselves a software engineer. In terms of what's going to happen to the industry, like I said, not an economist, I can't see the big picture, but I would not be surprised if across the board we see software engineers have this much broader role where product management, for example, is just a part of what we're doing.
All right. Thank you, Emily. So, Emily, our next round is the rapid fire round, and the rule here is you cannot think for the answer. As soon as I stop asking question, you have to answer it. So, are you
I'm here
ready?
for it. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So, AI copilots, game changer or overhyped?
Game changer.
One engineering metric leaders focus on too much.
Pull requests merged. Oh, no, I want to change my answer. Lines of code.
Build internal tools or buy off the shelf.
Almost always buy off the shelf.
Biggest blocker to engineering speed today.
Limited AI spend.
One AI tool developers should try right now.
Kilo code. You knew the answer to that one. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Remote team advantage or challenge.
Advantage. Talent is everywhere, opportunities are not.
What
Okay.
matters more for great engineers, curiosity or experience?
Both. It's not an either or. Be curious. Being curious will build your experience.
one tech trend that will change the engineering teams in the next 3 years.
Okay, I'm not gonna say the things we've already said because that's probably true. But I think design is gonna matter a lot more. Um, AI is gonna make everything look exactly the same. I mean, you see this all the time when people are using kind of vibe coded stuff. They all look exactly the same. There's like this vibe coded smell. And so people who have taste, like really good user experience, is gonna be a key differentiator for the next generation of really breakout pieces of technology.
All right. Thanks for sharing all the insights and thanks for sharing the journey, Emily. Hopefully you get more subscriber from this episode and hopefully we get to see more from you
Yeah.
at KiloCode and hopefully we meet next time again, but you actually doing something different for KiloCode. And I think so, the viewers would learn ton from this episode, like how the AI would impact the next 3 years, what is happening at the Kilo Code, how the team is thinking, what they are planning to ship. So thank you everyone for watching this episode. We will meet in the next episode with some more exciting guests. Until then,
Thanks
keep
for having
finding
me.
tech that finds you.